going to have to be good enough.
That's fine. I realize you don't take any pride in what you do, Dave.
Thank you. I don't even know if this fucking thing changed. See,
Don't you care about quality? Aren't you concerned about what product you put out?
that person obviously doesn't know me.
It's hilarious. I mean, look, we're just a couple of regular guys. We're not professional broadcasters, you know, on CBS, you know. Hello, this is Dan reporting.
Well, do you think the professionals do everything themselves?
No, of course not. They don't even put on their own makeup.
They've got whole teams.
Oh, 100%. All kidding aside. They look perfect. The hairdo's flawless, right? Hello, this is Shepard Pierce reporting. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's
hold on, let me fix my jock strap.
No, it really drives home to the idiocy of people today. It really does because no, think about this. Think about this. People would not make certain comments if they actually understood what they were talking about.
Well, I'm probably guilty too.
And people will be like, well, I can have an opinion. Yeah, but what is the saying? You know, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one and they all stink.
Well, let's put it this way. To your point, everybody can have an opinion, and I guess in a free society, supposedly, is entitled to their opinion. But then the question is, you know, what is that opinion based on? Now, if it's wild ass and left field with no friggin' basis, and what do I mean by basis? Well, let's get factual versus empirical, right? So a fact is not necessarily truth or vice versa. That's what people need to think about. So when people say, for example, well, Dave, my opinion's based on fact. Is it based on fact or truth? There's a difference. A fact can change over time. Truth does not change over time. That's the discernment that you need to make and be cogently aware of in your mind. So, for example, a fact might be maybe right this second, it's 78 degrees out and sunny. But will it be that way 5 minutes from now or 2 hours from now? The fact is right now, that's what it is. But a truth would be, you know, if I stand on a coffee table and decide to walk off it 10 times, I'm going to fall. And the reason being is there's a thing called gravity that's going to pull me down, right? That's a universal truth that will not change. 2 + 2 is 4. That's another great example. It's not 4.1 or 3.99. It's a universal truth. Regardless of where you are at a point in time, right? And, you know, the Bible's a great example. I don't want to get into that. I'm just saying, you know, that's another example where people say, well, you know, it's antiquated, it's outdated, whatever. Well, the principles and the truths in there are irrespective of where you are at a point in time. So that's my dissertation on opinions, facts, and truth.
Number one, is this rally continuing? Lots of people now popping up saying sell now. Number two, when to stop buying for those not involved yet and for those already loaded up. Number three, how much to allocate, percentage of your portfolio or some other target. Okay, number four, physical versus paper, miners, royalty companies. And I wrote, Mark Twain said, a mine is a hole in the ground with a liar in front of it. So number five, when to sell, what signs to look for, the gold to Dow ratio, gold to silver ratio, mainstream promoting gold. When gold went on its last run, you know, Ed McMahon and Dick Clark or whoever it was would have those commercials saying, I'll sell your gold now. Do you remember those commercials?
I do, long time ago, but yeah.
Whenever you see those type of commercials, you know it's gone mainstream. Yeah, exactly. Out of those 5 topics, which one strikes your fancy as far as, you know, because I mean, I don't think we're going to be able to convince people who haven't jumped in now to jump in, because if they weren't buying at $15, why are they going to buy at $40? Because there's no pain yet. There's no pain. Nobody's felt any pain. So I don't think we should even address why you want to go in at this point, because it's like talking to the wall. Which to invest in? If you own nothing, should you be buying SLV, GLD, GDX, GDXJ, or should you, or I guess if, you know, versus buying physical?
Well, you got 2 or 3 options, you know. You either buy the paper.
Because here's the risk. What if you go all in and you're wrong?
Absolutely. Let me put it this way to address that point. Most mainstream, all of them, if not most of them anyway, mainstream planners, financial people, whatever, traditional planners tied to Wall Street and all that, they're not even going to mention 9 out of 10 times, if not more, precious metals and put it in your portfolio. They're not even going to go there, okay? The few that do go there are going to recommend 3 to 5% of your portfolio, upwards of 10%. The bottom line is precious metals are insurance. Every sizable portfolio, any size at all, really, but if it has any size at all.
What does that mean to you? What do you mean by insurance?
Well, I'll get to that in a second. I mean, if you got a portfolio, let's say even of 100K or 250 grand or more, you should be 3 to 5% in precious metals. What do I mean by insurance? Well, we know historically speaking, and a lot of people aren't aware of this, and I don't mean to be disparaging, but they don't really teach this in schools, and I don't think they teach it at the MBA or business school level. I mean, money, okay, as we know it, and it's not really money, this, guys, is called fiat currency. What does that mean? Well, that's an American dollar. That's money. That's a piece of paper. This is a piece of paper deemed fiat currency. What does fiat currency mean? For those that aren't familiar with that term, fiat means, I know you're familiar with it, Dave, fiat means by decree. By decree, to put it layman terms, means backed by good faith. In this case, backed by the good faith of the U.S. government or Japan, South Korea, you know, Germany, whatever the case may be, euros for them, I guess. Right? And it's an IOU is what it is, guys. It's a glorified IOU. So then you have to ask yourself, well, what's backing that IOU or that piece of paper? How is it collateralized, if you will? How's it backed? Well, the reality is since 1971, that piece of paper, folks, that I just put up in front of your face is backed by nada, thin air. Well, what do you mean, Dan? It used to be backed by something tangible, guys, called gold. It's not backed by gold anymore. So what's the big deal? What does that mean? I don't know. I'm not an economic expert, but if you got a piece of paper that's not really backed by anything anymore, you tell me. And then, oh, by the way, it devalues every year by about 2%. What does that mean? Well, Joe or Bob, if you put $100 in the bank today and wait exactly a year from now and do nothing else with it, maybe you'll get 1% and be at $101, but actually you'll be at about $98 or $99, even with that 1% interest because of built-in inflation, which runs at between 2 and 3%. Let's call it 2 for now. So you'll go from 100 to 101. You'll be like, hey, I'm up percent, but actually you're at 99. So that's basically decay, time decay of the value of your money over time. So to compensate for that, you really need to be getting 5 or 6%.
You think the average person is going to understand what you just said?
Yeah, that's basic math. $100, 1% of $100.
Their account says 101. They have $101.
True, but the buying power is 99.
And, what does that mean, buying power?
Well, what it means, that's a good point. What it means is stuff's getting more expensive to the average guy or gal. So go to the supermarket today, guys. Meat compared to 3 months ago, 6 months ago is a lot more expensive, right? That's what it means. Your buying power is decreasing over time.
Gasoline is cheaper now.
Yeah, that's true because I guess the demand is off. But, you know, when you and I were first getting our license when we were 18, a gallon of gas was 35 cents. So in about 35 years, we've seen basically gas go up 10 times. what's it, $3 a gallon, 250?
$1.83 here. $1.74, something like that.
Okay, but basically around where I live, it's like 250. So, you know.
One more reason not to live in Massachusetts.
Well, we won't go there. Yeah, a side note, there's only two Commonwealths in the United States, Commonwealth of Mass and the Commonwealth of Virginia.
No, the Kentucky's a Commonwealth as well.
Oh, my bad. I guess there's three of them. You can discern what Commonwealth means. I like how they use that term. What is the Commonwealth? What does that actually mean? But anyway, we won't go there. You know, it's funny. I tried to explain this to my parents Thursday night when they came for dinner because my 18-year-old Jack brought this up. He's been reading on these topics lately, and he was trying to...
Isn't that funny? An 18-year-old teaching an 80-year-old something.
And my parents, the baby boomers, I'm not knocking boomers, they just didn't get it. Their attitude is people are making more money than ever before today. What are you talking about? Yeah, maybe in aggregate dollars they are, but what they don't understand is those aggregate dollars don't buy what they bought 30 years ago. Do you know, 30 years ago, Dave, when you and I were just 20, 25, a $20 bill, you could buy a lot with that, am I right? You could buy a lot with a $20 bill. What does a $20 bill buy now?
My very first job, I think I was paid maybe $5 an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing. I don't, it might have been less.
I don't remember either, but I remember when minimum wage, and for those young people out there maybe watching this, they're going to laugh, but it wasn't that long ago. I remember minimum wage in the state of Mass was $3.35 an hour. Imagine that, $3.35. So, and I'm a Gen X, so what was it for my parents when they were growing up? 50 cents an hour? I don't know. Now what is it? $15 an hour? 12 or 15? Minimum wage?
So you didn't finish saying what Jack was trying to explain to them.
The bottom line is he was just trying to explain the devaluation of our money over time and how the value of the dollar right now compared to even 30 years ago, the dollar 30 years ago could buy more.
How did he explain this?
Well, good point. One example he cited was he read an article that said in the early 60s, what the average person, something to the effect, was earning would be like 80 grand or 100 grand today. But the difference was they actually could support a family on that. The father could go off to work and the family of four, that type of thing. Look at housing the last 40 years, how it's gone up. How is it that a house built like my parents' house, here's a great example, built in 1962, and probably sold for then 10 grand maybe, I don't know. And now they can get like 750 for it. Why has it gone up that much? It's the same house.
Well, a lot of people, confuse the true economic terms with what they call it. Like when people refer to inflation, they often don't use the true economic definition of inflation. But the reality is most people equate inflation with your money buys less, right?
Or prices are going up, right?
Which would be your money is buying less.
Or prices going up. That's how the layman looks at it, right?
That's the same thing.
But true inflation, I think this is where you're going, is actually an increase in money supply, right?
Which does not necessarily lead to a devaluation of your currency.
It doesn't?
No, it does not. That alone.
Well, that coupled with interest.
Why do you think the currency hasn't collapsed? It's because we don't have velocity of money. That's something that we're getting way off topic now. Well, if you use it as a $13, then today it's worth like 2 cents.
That's where I was going. So I'm just trying to give a relative basis here. So at the inception of the
does not have to see. This is the warped thinking in our country. Just because a year goes by, I mean, in reality, there's no guarantee. There's no reason why prices have to continue to rise. See, UPS raises their rates every year, 5 to 6%, like clockwork. Why?
Well,
because everything goes up in price. No,
Why?
it goes up in price because it's being devalued. The Fed would gladly take 10% inflation right now because then they could get rid of all this debt with devalued dollars. If let's say the Coca-Cola becomes $100, right?
Yeah, doubles.
Right.
Yeah.
So this bottle of Coke is now $100 instead of $1.
Yeah. Okay.
That means the debt that they have on their books is now worth so it went from $1 to $100 for the Coke. Well, that debt that they have, that $10 trillion in debt, well, it's now worth basically $1 trillion in today's dollars. Makes it a lot easier to burn that debt off.
Okay, so then maybe we shouldn't be complaining. So for those of you that are highly leveraged, just let them keep doing what they're doing.
Well, that is the biggest criminality in the entire, there's a few things, but one of the biggest is when we went to 0% interest rates, because that encouraged that behavior, exactly what you did. Number one, it killed anybody who's on a fixed income. They had to go work at Walmart to be a greeter. Okay? Or when we were in college, we'd be like, oh, well, if I get like $5 million in the bank, I can just earn a nice, safe 6%, and I can live off of that. Today, 6% is high yield. That's no longer a safe calculation.
Well, that's why you got a lot of pensions that are going to go belly up, right? Because they're predicated on that 5 or 6%, right?
Well, most people don't know this, but the average wage in this country has been stagnant since like 1970.
Yeah, I knew that. Wages have been stagnant since the 70s,
so
but not cost of living.
So that means that they value your time at zero. Your time, your life force is worth zero to them. So why shouldn't they have 0% on interest? Because your money, your time is worth zero to them.
That's a great point, Dave. I never thought of it that way. That's an excellent point, dude. Great point.
So their attitude towards us has been clear for the last 40 years.
You have a way of
the unions have been asleep. The government, anybody in labor, yep, peace.
No, you have a way of just punching it between the eyes. Boom.
Hey, the amount of pain people are going to feel, they're going to wish they woke up sooner.
Dude, but you nailed it. I mean, zero interest rates is a reflection of how our time is valued in correlation with the stagnancy, if you will, if that's a word, of real wages since the 70s. You're worth zero, baby. Your time's worth zero. So then now it makes you wonder for the average stiff that's slugging it out 50, 60 hours a week, to pay bills, commuting an hour and a half back and forth. Is any of it worth it? And I guess the obvious.
So why would anybody be surprised that the first chance they can outsource, they do? Why would anybody be surprised that they promote abortion? Why would anybody be surprised that the depopulation that is planned is a reality? Oh, but they care about us. They'd never hurt us. We are becoming more and more of an inconvenience.
Well, Dave, I didn't want to say that to you.
Global warming, Agenda 21, they are all depopulation campaigns. But we're going way off topic. So the bottom line is so for anybody who doesn't value some sort of protection or what Dan calls insurance, then you're expecting the government to have your back. Well, when you're in the FEMA camps, going up with your bowl saying, "Can I have more, sir?" Please.
Oh, God almighty.
I need more than 100 calories.
Well, for those of you that don't know Dave out there, he is a former thespian. I'll leave it at that. Me, I just like to play rock music on my drum kit. But, yes.
To
Romeo, Romeo, we're at the Romeo. It's either
And this
cry
is
or
why
laugh.
you don't want government running your life.
No, I don't.
Because they're not
No, I
going to
don't.
take you to the promised land, folks.
No, I don't.
They're going to be bought and paid for by the highest bidder. And it's not you and it's not me.
God. Wow. And I always thought I could get by on my looks.
Yeah. That and a buck will get you a cup of coffee, pal. If with what's happened over the last month, okay, this could be another bubble that pops, right?
Yeah.
Silver and gold are just like any other equity that, you know, whether it's Bitcoin or Tesla, they all go up and they all come down. So that's how people might view this. This is just another speculation. And they could be right.
Well, in the short to intermediate term, definitely. But I would say in the long term, no. If you look at gold since even the year 2000 to the present, hasn't it outperformed the S&P by like 300%?
I think gold has outperformed everything. If
It's
I remember
outperformed
correctly.
everything. So that's my argument right there. Just take the last 20 years, and I see that, you know, and even before then.
But when you call it insurance, the important thing to remember here, see, this is the thing, is insurance does not mean speculation. Okay?
Right.
Gold and silver, this is very, very important to understand the differences here. Is gold has a 5,000-year history of being a storage of wealth, a storage of protection.
Value, yeah.
The governments use it. Corporations use it. High wealth individuals use it. People use it. It's been used to cross borders in time of crisis, right? People recognize gold and they value gold, some more than others. And 100 years ago, everybody valued it. Today, people, we're so dumbed down today, and we really are the stupidest people of all time, the people of today, because we've all been lulled to sleep by believing that government solves these issues. Now, silver, this is the more of the debate, because the people today have convinced people that silver is no longer a precious metal. They now are convinced, all the financial people, I'll say 95% of any financial professional will tell you that silver is a commodity and industrial component. I'd say even 25% of financial people today will tell you gold is a commodity and not a store of wealth. Okay,
yeah.
Gold is actually a currency. It's the one true currency. It is the standard that all other currencies are measured against. So when you see these currencies going up and down, they're going up and down
in relation to
in relation to gold.
Yeah.
So silver, at one point, even in the United States history, China had a silver standard, Mexico had a silver standard, the United States actually had a silver standard. Some believe that JFK was assassinated because he launched a silver standard.
I was going to say, he did that in '62, right? And he bypassed the Fed doing that.
Yep, and he was dead. He was dead 9 months later.
So, you know, I don't propose to be a genius, but do you think it was pure coincidence that there was no background?
We don't know. I mean, when a
No, we don't. No, and I don't want to sound like a conspiracy kook.
Well, when a tragedy happens in this country, as you'll see with the JFK Commission, the Warren Commission, and the 9/11 Commission, they spend, like 2 cents, and they rubber stamp it, and they're like, close this thing. This country does not like to hang out its dirty laundry. And that's something I've never really understood, is we're supposed to be a republic, quote unquote, democracy, but yet we do not want to discuss the ugly truths. And it goes all the way back to the beginning, even with our Constitution, when, we had slaves And we're calling it all men are created equal, right? Or
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
okay, then it's the Declaration of Independence that I'm thinking of.
Damn it, Dave. Get it right.
Okay, it is the Declaration of Independence. Okay, in Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness.
Wow, that's pretty powerful, man, in my opinion, and eloquent. And they were definitely inspired, without a doubt. And I also believe led by the divine hand as well, in my opinion.
Well, it upsets me that nobody in this country, and when I say nobody, obviously it's not nobody. You know, we're just two guys, Dan. And I mean, I would think that most people feel really powerless in this country today. You know, today, more people are worried about getting arrested or being shamed or being fined to do. This is supposed to be a free country, but what can we do today? I mean, now you have these kings, these governors, these gods telling us what we shall do. Well, I say no. I say, you do not own me.
Well, right.
And it goes to this whole charade. So that's why I buy silver and gold. Because I don't trust these people. And I'm not going to put people. Look at all the money that you waste every day, every week.
Uh-huh.
You don't have $100. You don't have $200 to put towards your own security, your own independence, your own freedom. You don't want that flexibility that it may provide you if the worst comes.
Yeah, but I need that $200. I'm going out this weekend.
I've told you, Dan, with our lives, it's the number one thing I look at is we talk about a lot of things. And a lot of it, you know, like the average person lies like 100 times a day because they don't want to be confrontational. So they're like, oh, yeah, I love your hair. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I like to think I lie only 50.
Yeah. But so I forgot where I was going with this.
You always tell me I'm handsome.
Oh, but it comes down to priorities. So you always judge based on what somebody's doing, not what somebody tells you they believe in or what somebody says they're going to do, because most people are liars. Most people are lazy sacks of shit.
Well, that's kind of harsh, Dave. I mean,
Well, it is. I mean, most people go for their own agenda. And so maybe it's not laziness, they just don't care. Or they don't believe that it is something that requires them to act. Because let's face it, a lot of people don't act until they absolutely have to. As Daryl said, Dave, I didn't want to get off my couch, but I was forced off my couch. Remember that?
well, I guess it's human nature to procrastinate, isn't it? I don't know. How many times have you
I've been
heard
guilty
that?
of that.
Yeah, I myself too, man. I'm not judging. I know.
But just remember, when you procrastinate, in some cases, okay, if you're on the Titanic, it costs you your life. If you're lucky, maybe it only costs you, instead of $20 an ounce, now you got to pay $40 an ounce, right? So that's one penalty for waiting. But worst case scenario, as I've told you, Dan, a lot of people don't act with a sense of urgency because they think they have all the time in the world, when if they just look behind them, there's a train coming right up behind them. So if you're running at 5 miles an hour and the train's going 10, bye. Nice knowing you. Whereas one comedian says, you know, if you're being chased by the police and you can run 5 miles an hour and the police car can go 10 miles an hour, how many years in Attica do you get?
You're unbelievable, dude. What a clown.
Well, it's always good to laugh about it, but why are we waiting until things fall apart? Why? Why didn't we listen to Ron Paul?
Oh, geez. Don't go there. I mean,
He's still alive, folks. He's still going out every week with his updates and his reports, trying to warn people. Nobody listens to him. Nobody even knows who he is, probably.
dude, I know who he is. I mean, he's a constitutionalist through and through, man. He believes in the Constitution like I do. I mean,